and welcome back to Hack the NAB Show 2020. My next guest is Gary Bettan from the VideoGuys. He's going to tell us a little bit about remote production. Gary, how you doing?
We're doing good, Paul. Thanks for inviting us on to the show. Yeah, with the COVID virus, we've had to redo the way we go to do our shows. As you know, we do a weekly show, VideoGuys Live every Tuesday. You've been on it several times, one of our favorite guests. We talk about the products. Well, because of the virus, we're all working remotely. So while I'm in my office, because we're still open, we've got most of our employees being remote. So that's put a twist on things and made it a little bit trickier to do business, so to speak. And the show's gotten a lot trickier. So we've had to go with remote production. One of the things we've done that I want to show you if I could, I'll figure out how to do this eventually.
Yeah, if you could share your screen and show us some of those slides. There's a share button at the bottom. It's a green one. You should be able to use that. Gary's show, you can find more, you can learn more about Gary at videoguys.com. Their show is every Thursday?
Tuesdays at 3 p.m.
Tuesdays at 3 p.m. And it's a really great show. And he's going to talk a little bit about how they're doing everything remotely.
Yeah, so what we had to do was figure out what we could do to keep the show going. So one of my guys lives in Farmingdale, so I dropped off a wirecast gear and a X-Keys control surface and some monitors and stuff. And he actually set up a control studio in his apartment, and we're using Rendezvous to come into him. I also have another employee in Texas using a TriCaster Mini 4K, and we're using Skype to go to him. And we've been able to do some really cool shows, bringing different people into the show. So, you know, one of the things we were talking about is Zoom integration. So our last show, let me see if I can get the next slide going. Yeah, there it is. We did Zoom integration. We actually brought our team onto the show to do some integration with Zoom. And as you can see here, rather than just the typical Zoom format, we tried to get a little bit more value adds. You know, we had me on the side, the lower third, and the whole Zoom team in there. And then one of the things that we actually did on a show is we actually had what I call my Inception Moment. So I'm going to stop sharing. I got to figure out, how do I do that, Paul?
Just hit the share button again, I think. And it's actually in that little drop, that top menu. There's like a little hover. There's like a little hover button that is at the top.
Yeah, of course, I'm trying to get this thing to go back to full screen. It's not. Well, so much for my Zoom capabilities, right, folks?
There you go. Oh, you're getting there. It's at the very top. It like hovers. It's like a little thing at the top. It says you are sharing your screen. Yep, your mouse is almost there in the center, in the top of your screen. At the very center, at the very top, just hover over it and see it says view options.
Getting my Zoom to go full screen, Paul. I got to apologize. I'm screwing this whole show up.
All right, don't worry. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start sharing my screen via Zoom, and then it'll break your screen share. How about that?
Cool.
All right, so Mike, go ahead and hit screen share right there. Yep, right there, hit it. Yep, and just hit yes. Yep. All right, now just go ahead and share that real quick. Number 3, I guess. Yeah.
Number 3.
Yeah. Share. All right, now go to here and hit stop share. Okay, we're back.
There you go. Thank you for rescuing me, Paul.
It's all good.
All right. So what we actually did is let me talk about some of the products that were going to be introduced at NAB from some of our vendors that we were really, really excited about, because this next one works into the story, and that is the folks at BirdDog created something called the BirdDog Cloud. And the BirdDog Cloud allows you to connect via NDI with anyone else who's got an endpoint. So we set up an endpoint for us. We set up an endpoint for Glenn down in Texas. And we actually had on our show where I was coming in remote, we had Glenn coming in remote, and then we actually had Glenn control a PTZ camera remotely from his show using the BirdDog Cloud. So the cloud gives you full NDI control. So not only did we get video from the cloud, you're actually able to control the PTZ camera and the stuff like that. So this is really cool technology because it takes remote production to that next level, which we're super excited about. And, you know, Bird Dog had some other cool announcements. They've got a full NDI 4K PTZ camera. They got some bunch of decoders with full NDI, decode and encode. And then they've got some NDI software tools that can be used, as far as comms go and for controlling and doing color adjustments on a PTZ camera. They've really done some cool stuff. We're really excited about that.
So one of the cameras we're going to be talking about soon is a new NDI camera that's a webcam. And this was something I wanted to see if you could test for me with the Bird Dog Cloud. This is our new Ndi Webcam from HuddleCam HD, and it's a power over Ethernet Ndi Webcam. And we're thinking for esports, for remote production, to have an Ndi camera starting at just $499 might really open up some things, especially with the Bird Dog Cloud and remote productions.
Paul, we agree with you 100%. In fact, you stole a little bit of my thumb there, because my number one new product of this show, buddy, is these ePTZ cameras from you guys. If you remember last NAB show, we talked about this for, I think it had to be over an hour over beers and stuff like that. What a cool feature it would be, and how, taking that 4K signal and being able to cut HD pieces out of it. You guys set up camera moves and actual PTZ, motion through it. And you've done such a great job. And I agree that I think your webcam is going to be a game changer. And I think it's going to be incredible, in a conference room where now, a lot of times those conference room views are long and narrow, and now you can ePTZ to the 4K camera shot you want. But I agree with you. I look at putting one of those in a tight space like a bar now, where you can get right up on the stage and you can have a wide shot of the whole band, but you can also have a shot showing the drummer or the lead guitarist or the vocalist, whatever you want to do. So we're super excited about both those cameras with ePTZ. And I think it's the number one new feature of the NAB show. I'm so excited about it because of the price point. It's one thing if these were $5,000 cameras, big deal, wee-hoo, 4K. But the price points you guys are delivering at are just so incredible.
Yeah, we're going to be showing those off more in the HuddleCam space. So I want to ask you a few more questions, but we have one here actually that's set up on our monitor. So they're just so versatile. You can stick it right on top of a monitor or a display, and you can control these directly through Zoom. So right now, if you'd want, or we'll probably share that off in the HuddleCam section a little bit. Anyone in Zoom, anywhere in the world, can remotely take control of one of these cameras as well. USB plug and play. We think it's we really do think it is the most powerful webcam on the market at a time when webcams are really important to online communications.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think you guys have knocked it out of the park. So other things I thought, one of the things we would talk about a little bit is the result of what's happening because of this COVID virus and the impact that it's having on products sold at NAB and products not, and how it's changing the face of what the NAB show would be. Unfortunately, Hollywood and television studios are pretty much shut down right now. So that part of NAB is kind of in hiatus. There's not a whole lot happening. In fact, we're really feeling bad for some people in the space who, are struggling, to meet payroll, to pay their rent, and to keep going. It's difficult times out there in Hollywood if you're producing television shows, and if you're selling high-end cameras or field recorders and things like that, it's a tough business. But the streaming business has really taken off, and that's because, as you've talked about in the beginning of the show, and the reality of what's going on is every church now is looking to do live streaming in order to reach out to their congregation. Schools are closed down. They're having a live stream to have teachers communicate with their students and to produce, productions where the principal's talking to the whole school and things like that. And that's really created a huge demand for encoders and live streaming encoders. And if it's okay, can I talk about two of the products that are really in super demand right now?
Yeah, please do.
The number one product that we're seeing in huge demand is the Sling Studio. The Sling Studio is a portable little box. In fact, you can see when it's that white little box there behind me over there. And it's called the Sling Studio Hub. And that allows you to bring in multiple cameras to stream out to the internet. Now, the device itself sets up its own Wi-Fi network. It allows you to bring in iPhones, Android phones, and through their cam link, you can bring in cameras. You can bring in a PTZ camera, you can bring in a regular camera with that. And it's really super easy to use. You control it through an iPad or a MacBook, and it's the easiest product to use that we saw out there, and it's just exploding on sales on it. It's kind of getting in tight supplies at times, but hang in there. They keep building more. It's just they can't keep up with the sudden burst of demand. Hey, Paul's got one. Way to go, buddy. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah. We love this product. You can plug a PTZOptics camera right into it, and it works. We've tested it with the wireless extenders. They work great. The other thing you can do is if you have a wireless network, you can use a iOS app to control your PTZOptics camera. This is really great for wireless stuff, and we really love these products. They're great. They really work well.
And then the other product that's really selling off the hook and also coming into shortages and shortages of supply is the LiveView Solo product. I know you're familiar with LiveView. In fact, on the bigger end, if you're watching any of those TV shows where the anchor or the guests or the hosts are coming in remotely, almost all of those have like a LiveView type product because they're big in the broadcast space. But the Solo is a cool product. It's a $9.99 encoder, and there's one of them behind me also over there. Actually, this side, I think you got to see it. And it's a really great product. Hey, there you go. Way to go, Paul. It's as if we rehearsed this. So a lot of people are using the LiveView Solo as an encoder just to bring their camera, or maybe you had an existing mixing solution in your church, a switcher. Now you can plug it into the LiveView Solo and bring it out into the internet via Wi-Fi or wired. But what really makes the Solo super cool is you can also add cellular modems for bonded cellular service. And now let's say I'm in a rural area and I don't really have good internet. I can now bring my HD service out to my flock, out to my congregant, out to my followers. And the LiveView Solo is another tremendous product that's just exploding during this period of COVID and the coronavirus. So those are two real important products that I wanted to talk about because not only are they very well selling, but people start thinking maybe they were discontinued. That's not the truth. Just demand is far outstripped supply. People weren't expecting things like this to happen. Another product that got stripped out of supply that's, a product that's an NAB product is the New Tech Talk Show 4000, which lets you bring in 4 Skype TX people. Well, that business exploded with what's going on with the broadcast, the networks having to bring people in remotely. And New Tech never foresaw that. I think the demand in the last month was more than were sold in the whole last year of this product. So they're ramping up production. They'll be available, and you just got to hang tough. If you have one and you're not using it, it's probably a very valuable thing to sell on eBay or Craigslist or something like that. But the Talk Show 4000 is another one of those products. It's not a new product, but it's an existing product that is really in super high demand. That is, to use the word benefited, I hate saying, but a product that's become more, widely needed as a result of the remote production that's going on right now.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. And we asked all of our guests to prepare a hack, some type of hack that your customers are using, hacking together things. Because in my opinion, these productivity hacks, we all go through this in the streaming industry. We're building rigs, we're changing things, we're adding products. It's never finished. And I was wondering if you could share something with us, a customer, something that you've done where you've hacked together something pretty cool.
I got a hack that one of our, not a fellow TriCaster user, a guy named Grant put together, Grant Whitehead put together this video, and he posted it in several of the New Tech forums. And for anyone using a video switcher mixer, so you could do this with vmix, you could do this with wirecast, you could do it with TriCaster. But basically what he did is he goes you through a whole tutorial how you could take a 4-person Zoom where you bring in 4 people from Zoom into your show and you have them set up in the quadrants, 1, 2, 3, 4. And he set up different masks over each user. So now he could mix the show where he could have them side by side. He could have them 3 in a row. He could have them 4. He could have them shown over there. So I'm going to try to share the screen again, Paul. If it screws up, let's just go back to it. But here's actually, can we see that now? Did I bring that up? Yeah, yes. There it is. So here you can see what he's got here. He's got the 4 people in the quadrants I'm showing you, and he's got a side-by-side where he could pick any 2 out of the 4 he wanted side-by-side, or the 3. He did the mask with the 4. I mean, this was so clever. And this is a 7-minute tutorial that if you're using vmix, OBS, XSplit, Wirecast, or TriCaster, you need to watch this because it allows you to add such a great level of higher end video quality, video production to a show, as opposed to Zoom. And Zoom is great, but it's kind of static and not really there. And think about the lower thirds. You could have your guest names within the templates, whatever you wanted to do there. So that's my great hack that I wanted to bring to everyone. And Paul, you're going to have to take me down because it's shrinking my
Remember how to do that, Mike? Hit the screen share button, Mike. Hit the screen share button on Zoom. You're going to have to learn how to do this. Yep, go ahead and hit yes. Hit yes. All right, now just share any screen. All right, now just go to the top and end the screen share.
Oh, it came up for me for a split second. Dang. Anyway, well, what Grant did here was really, really wonderful. I think you guys are going to have to break me again.
It's okay.
Unfortunately, I'm not getting full screen when I do this.
Right there. Hit stop share. There we go. All right. Well, thank you so much, Gary. There's just a few minutes left. I appreciate you sharing that hack. We're using Zoom right now as well. Zoom is changing everything with their security features, and a lot of folks in the video production industry are using it. But warning to folks who are hacking the system and using Zoom to be a way to bring it in. Zoom has talked about removing the virtual camera input. Zoom is making things more difficult to hack their product, and they're adding more security features that are making it more difficult. On Friday, we had a live stream, and we got the new Zoom client. It doesn't allow you to select how to route the audio out of that client. Luckily, I was able to get an older client for this show. But Zoom is changing a lot of things, and it might not be as good for hacking as we thought it would be.
Well, remember, Paul, you can run Zoom on a laptop, take your HDMI out of the laptop, and then through a USB capture device like Epiphan or Magewell or anyone else, and bring it into your show with audio and video. And that removes all the little, things you're talking about. And the Zoom folks, I got to give them credit. They're constantly updating, but in trying to be more secure, they're breaking things. But I think since the show is Zoom and people are watching it, let's go over some of those things that are common sense things that you could do to make your Zoom more secure. Number one is never post your Zoom meetings or your passwords online and social media, what have you. You should really create your own Zoom meeting code, not use your generic one that's assigned to you. Change your password every time for a show. If I'm getting together Zoom with my old buddies from high school, we can use the same password on that one, but I'll use it for different things. Don't allow screen sharing. You did because of this show, you know who I am, but don't. And then also, just make sure that people who are Zooming, one of the things I recommend you do is if you use virtual backgrounds, you don't have to worry about someone in the family walking behind you as much as potentially, getting Zoom bombed by your own family and friends and stuff like that. So, Zoom's gotten a bad name for security, and I think that's unfair. They made themselves available to schools and education for free. And with that came what was the state of the product at the time, but they are constantly updating. And as you mentioned, they are breaking some features every now and then. When they do that, you have to roll back. We had some problems with Wirecast that we had to roll back to a previous version, but I do think Zoom, Microsoft Teams, WebEx, whatever you're using are very useful to do. I like using them and bringing them into another mixer like you're doing for your show, because at that point you get to add, the graphics that you have. You can resize people, put them where you want to be. And the video production quality looks a lot better than a basic Zoom show. Plus, Zoom, as people drop in and drop out, the screen shifts and stuff like that. And I want to be able to follow the guests that I want to bring up on my show. I don't want it to be randomly done by who coughed, suddenly getting on the screen. So Zoom's cool. All that stuff is cool. I think what you've done with this show is really phenomenal, Paul. I want to give you credit on that. And once again, I got to give props to the EPTZ stuff. You guys really knocked it out of the park. I think it's a great feature. It's going to bring PTZ and cameras more affordable. And we, 4K is really cool. But the truth of the matter is we're seeing now the bandwidth for HD is being tapped to the most by, what's going on with so many people streaming. We sell a lot of stuff to people who stream on Sundays, church services. And the truth of the matter is it's been problematic on YouTube and Facebook because so many people are doing it at the same time. I know my time is up, Paul. So thank you very much for putting me on the show. I don't want to take the next guy's time. So as I always say at the end of my show, peace.